Hi, so this is a 2011 Ford F-150. Just this last week, there's a loud clicking noise behind the dash, and the heater wasn't working and blowing hot air. So what I'm going to show you how to do is how to replace the heater blend door motor. This is the part. This is the old part. I've already removed it, and then I put everything back together while I was waiting for the new one to come in. The part number that you're going to need is right here. I ordered it online through the Ford parts website. It was only about $8 for this part, but this is something that would cost you hundreds in labor through the Ford dealership to get to. This part is very difficult to get to and replace. One of the tools you will need is a very small ratchet socket wrench. This is what I used. But once again, I've got the new part right here. You can tell it's different because of the black gear versus the white gear. But when I opened up this motor, the gears are all damaged inside, and that's definitely the problem, and this should fix the loud clicking noise. But in order to get to this, the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to open up the dash and pull out the stereo. So I'm going to just walk through how to do this. I've already removed the two screws here. To remove the two screws, you just need the 9/32 wrench and remove those two screws that are up here at the top. This rubber piece just comes right off. And then also, in order to remove this, you got to pull out the trim, and the trim just pops off. And if you start at the bottom and work your way up, you don't need to remove it all the way. You just need to have enough leverage to take your center console out when you need to do that. So I just start at the bottom, and once again, you want to help it and work it your way up because you don't want to damage your trim. And then as you do that, there's 4 screws down in here. I don't know if you can see that hold this bottom piece in. So you got these 4 screws. These 2 I've already removed, and then I've only got 1 in here that's holding it tight here at the bottom. Switch that, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove this screw here. And you can also see why it's helpful to have a smaller wrench, because you don't have a lot of room to work here with the dash. And then when you get inside, you'll see that it's actually a lot tighter to get to this part. And these repairs will also work for a Ford Expedition. The Expedition, you actually have a little bit more room to work with than in the F-150. But just see how and then once you have these 4 screws removed, then you can just start pulling out on your center console, and it'll all, you gotta kind of move this trim out of the way because it gets caught up in that. But then once you get these hooks on the sides out from the trim, then next you need to unhook all your wiring with the quick release latches here. But most of these, there's always just a little clip that you have to push on, or 2 clips, and remove This one actually has a little locking clip. Anytime you see that red locking clip, you want to pull that out before you remove it. That's right, I should put the light on it so you can see it. And then this one has just a little clip right there. So all that should unhook relatively easily. And then next, what you need to do is you need to remove the stereo, which there's normally 4 screws here. I've removed 2 of them, or I only put 2 back in when I put this back together after taking it apart. Same size socket wrench, but I'll just have the extension on there to make it a little bit easier. But the process will be the same for removing all the screws. And you'll want to remember that this wire actually comes through between these 2 sockets when you put it back together, because it needs to be able to reach. Just had the lights go out in here. We'll get the lights back real quick.
Do what I want.
But once you have those 4 screws out, then this just pulls straight out, and then you're going to have to just unhook the wiring for the stereo all the same way. This one you want to make sure to pull on the black plug, but all that comes out relatively easy as well. Now, what you want to see is this is where the part was. I put the 2 screws back in just so I wouldn't lose them. And these, it's a very tight space to be able to get to this. So what you actually need to do, look over here at the glove box, is to reach it, the glove box, you just push in on these 2 sides things and the glove box comes all the way down. But if you look back up in here, to get to this bolt, I had to actually come up through the glove box and reach it. And this is where I had to use the extremely small socket wrench and carefully get to and remove this screw. We'll see how difficult it is to put the new part in, because this was extremely difficult to get to and pull out. Oh, and actually, now I remember, this one actually uses a slightly larger socket. It's the 5/16, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so once I get the right socket, turn that beeping off. Apologize for that. And then let me get this on. Loosen. And this, you want to be careful, obviously, that you don't drop the screw. But so I got those. So let me grab the. So this is the new part, and this gear is going to go down right into this slot. There's actually a part on the gear that you can see that there's no teeth right here, and that'll line up, and then it'll only go on one way. But before you line it up, you also want to plug it in, and let me do that. So this is the clip for it, and then when you remove it, remember the red locking clip. You want to unclip that and then push it in to remove it, but then the reverse is true when you're putting it back in. Put it back in and lock it, and then I reach back up through here. It's just a matter of lining up the teeth and lining up the holes to screw it back in. So get the teeth lined up and then turn it, and there's only one way that it'll lock in, and right here you can see that it's lined up, and now I just have to be able to reach in and get these two screws back into place. I'm going to start with the one in the front because it's easier, but also because I want it to be stable when I'm putting the back one in. The front one I want to be stabilized. So I'd also recommend removing the back screw first so that you have the front screw in there so the part's solid while you're trying to remove the harder screw. And this hopefully will fix the clicking noise as well as get that blend door to open properly so that the heater will work. So that's on there good. Now here's the challenging part. So coming up through the glove box, get my hand there positioned, and then use this hand to try to guide the screw. And make sure I've got the right hole. Okay, the screw's going to be right there, but then with my left hand I'm trying just to hold the socket on the screw, and the right hand there's not a lot of room to ratchet it, just a little bit at a time. I apologize you can't really see it. Maybe this will help. So it's right there on the screw, and then it's just hard with where my hand is to keep the socket on it and leverage it. So it's really requires both hands and some flexibility. But this is the hardest part, and then this is also what the dealer would charge you an arm and a leg for, because they would actually have to remove this whole dash and the top to get to it and charge all the labor involved in that. I'd rather only spend $8 for the part and save my few $100 on labor. Alright, now it's getting tight. Make sure we're good. So that's on there. Successful install. And now it's about putting it all back together, which to put it back together, it's the reverse process. I'll save you the time, but we're just going to put everything back together as we in the reverse order what we pulled it out, and I hope that helps. So if in the future you need to replace your blend door motor, that's how you do it, and that's how you save hundreds of dollars.